Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning. I'm on a little struggle bus today, full disclosure.
Is this about I got some feedback. It was like, Andy talks about shitting a lot. And I was like, what are you struggling with?
I do talk about shitting a lot.
Yeah.
I do, I think, actually. Not just with you, with everybody. I'm just a little tired. We're you look at quarterbacks, sometimes they regress. We're going through a little regression with little homegirl. So
oh no.
Yeah, little outburst, 2:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So going through some
Baker Mayfielding. You might need to send her to Sean McVay, fix her up, get her back on
that's what I'm thinking.
Track. Yeah.
I'm trying to get some advice. If anybody has any advice out there for, they always talk about the 3-month, 4-month sleep regression. Well, she's almost 8 months. So I am left confused. What happened to my quarterback? My quarterback was sitting pretty. I was thinking, oh, we're in the clear. We're past that stage. Next thing you know, 3 interceptions to the 49ers.
Horrible. Andy, you have to give me 1 second. I've been on the road for so long, and when I'm on the road, I don't bring my mic stand, and I hold my mic. I just realized I'm back home, baby. I don't have to be doing this work myself.
Yeah, go grab it.
And of course, I froze again because
you unfroze. Just go get your mic. Get your mic stand. Let's get situated here. Let's make it an official Dirty Sports.
I like not having to hold, that's extra work. I'm not Dirk at a press conference. Here we go. We're back, baby. We're back with the home field advantage. I'm way better when I can move my hands around. I'm an Italian, Need to be able to talk with my hands.
Is that an Italian thing?
Talking with your hands?
Yeah. I don't know. Is that an Italian
stereotype? I love that. Like Ruth is like, do the Irish drink? Is that a thing?
I just didn't know. I can see it.
I mean, that's I might be the most classically Italian thing ever. Like, that might be the most cliche Italian idea of all time. I think that comes before us being greasy, which I'm not really sure where that came from.
I didn't know the Italians were called greasy either.
Greasy, filthy wops,
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I've heard that.
Greasy Dagos. I don't think we're greasy as much as that we're just glistening because they're in the the Mediterranean. At least my southern people just out there. It's like me being in Key West. Was I greasy or was I just glistening with a little perspiration?
A neat, tidy people, the Italians.
Yeah, everything has its place.
But I don't understand that. So like, greasy and dirty are kind of the opposite of keeping all your shit together.
Yeah. It's all propaganda. Anytime some group starts to, do well for themselves, people come in and they
the worst of them all. I don't know if you ever heard it's like growing up in fucking Ohio. I don't know if it was Ohio or where I heard you'd hear lazy Mexicans. Oh
my God. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Did you hear that too? Like there's not a harder working group of people.
I mean,
lazy.
That's one of the
who started lazy.
That's one of the great. That's one of the most hilarious, what's it called? Like counterintuitive things. Like these lazy Mexicans are coming up here and taking all our jobs. Like, are they lazy or are they taking you the jobs that you don't want to do?
I mean, seriously. Yeah.
Truly, I think it comes from fucking Speedy Gonzalez. Remember, they were all like sleeping against the wall and they're like, oh, Speedy, calm down, man. just take a load off. And it's like, dude, Speedy Gonzalez is the slowest working Mexican I've ever seen.
I think you're right. I think it does come from Speedy, which then came from those writers who wrote Speedy.
Yeah.
So they started the propaganda.
I mean, the Looney Tunes. You go back to the Looney Tunes. Like, geez. The French skunk is just a rapist. The Mexican mouse, the mice are all lazy. Yosemite Sam's like, I have sex with my sister. Pew, 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 pew.
You know, you could, I mean, it's just cancel.
Yeah.
Also, Yosemite Sam and Dabo Sweeney sound pretty much the same. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was written after one of his ancestors. So we have some fun NFL stuff to talk about. I am.
Can't wait. I didn't look at the rundown, Andy. I'm going blind.
Oh, good. You know, it's NFL season.
I know. I assume we got things to talk about.
Yeah, we got some calls.
Great.
Give us a ring, 310-359-8365. Again, I will say, please make it like I want to be able to understand it. We have multiple calls. I think there's a call. It was fading in and out of service. I think we have a wild conspiracy about Brock Purdy. I think it was Brock Purdy. I don't know. Trying to assume his sexuality, which I thought, well, that's a weird take.
Interesting.
And it was cutting in and out. But just try to make sure I can understand you. And also, we're going to have to issue another, guys. We can't leave 4-minute calls.
Old Ruther's back.
Well, you know, I just
remember how old Ruther, dude. You went a minute 15. You'd get the old Ruther. That was pre sleep tank or whatever the fuck you do. It was pre dad Ruther. That was like angry road rage, calling people the C word on your way to Costco. Ruther, you went a minute 15. You got the fucking horns, dude.
Yeah.
You think I don't have anything better to do in life? To listen to an extra 15 seconds about your take about Kobe Bryant? Fucking kill yourself.
Yeah, I'm not. Now it's funny. Now dirtballs will completely rip me into a shred on a thread on Reddit. I'm just like, cool. Like, I'm just like, whatever. But we do got lots of NFL to talk. Again, our favorite discussion.
I love this. This is my favorite
quarterbacks.
Thing is when I don't read the rundown. And we come into a post-week Monday, a post-NFL weekend Monday. I always like to go, where's Andy Ruther going to start? Let's go.
Well, where do you start? Now, again,
I don't know.
I want to talk
here.
Well, here's what's on my mind because it's the latest game. Cowboys Niners.
So much to discuss.
There's so much to discuss, not just from each quarterback to each team to obviously contenders versus pretenders. There's a lot there. I just want to say initial thoughts. By far, I don't think this is anything crazy. You're probably going to agree with me. The Niners are by far the most dominant team in the NFL. It's not a question.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Honestly, I've always low key rooted for the Niners as a kid growing up. Loved Rice, loved Montana. Like I've never had any issue with the Niners or Niners fans or anything like that. So I of course last night they play the Cowboys. So I'm rooting hard as a Giants fan. I'm rooting hard for the Niners, but this is the first time in my life. And this goes back to including some dominant Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, great defense teams. This is the first time in my life I've watched a team and they're so dominant on both sides of the ball. And they're so well coached, and they've built a great roster from the ground up, and they've built a great roster with savvy moves that it makes me angry how good they are. It makes me angry because, obviously my team is struggling right now, but many teams are struggling right now. And I think the thing with the NFL right now is there's really, in my opinion, only a couple teams. There's a very small handful of teams, probably a smaller amount than usual, that I think are truly contenders to win the Super Bowl. And you look at this team, it's like, why is it so hard to follow this model.
Well,
they dominate the offensive and defensive line. They, I came into this game last week. My part of the 6-pack of predictions was Brock Purdy's going to look human. He looked fantastic, but he doesn't dude. They don't even play outside. Like, they never make any sort of offensive play that's like dangerous in any sort of way of turning over the ball. It's so mechanical. We're going to kick your ass 6 yards at a time. 6 yards at a time. And then when you get comfortable getting your ass kicked from 6 yards at a time, you're like, fuck, we're going to hold them to 2 yards. Then we pull off a play action touchdown, 30 yards, play action, 25 yards here. It's just, they are top to bottom, head and shoulders, the best team in football right now.
And how they built this team is why I was getting so worked up in September. Let's not forget. People kept bringing up the Trey Lance and worst trade up ever, worst pick. And I kept saying, guys, they've been a great team. Like, it was just such a weird take to me when they're right there competing for a Super Bowl, when they swung and they missed on that. But they've hit on everything else. Like you said, how they put together the D-line, the O-line, the coaching.
Do you know Trent Williams? He is just an absolute game changer on their offensive line. Like, you watch every play. He murders defenders. There's no stopping. You need 2 yards. They just, we're going to toss McCaffrey to that side. They got him for a 3rd and a 5th. A 3rd and a 5th.
Yeah.
He's an all-pro fucking left tackle.
Sure. And, the development, like you said, on Brock Purdy, I'm going to play a call because I think he's actually progressing even better than most people give him credit for. And I'm just going to say it. I know it's one game, but it's not one game. To me, it's the 5 games. I think he's teetering, if not in that MVP discussion, as long as they keep winning, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, especially not turning the ball over, completing a high percentage. How can he not be? And I think this call might back it up.
Well, before you play the call, my only counter with that is you watch these games, and listen, I think he's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I always have. I think from day one, Jared Goff looked suspect from his first day in the league. I was never a Jared Goff guy, but it does feel like that one magical season with the Rams where it's like, dude, he's not even having to do that much. Like, it statistically is fantastic, but he's not driving the ball down the field that often, in terms of.
Well, I think this call might, and Zerbo had DM'd me about this. I think this might be a good counter to that.
Okay.
So, I haven't done a deep dive on his stats, but I'm just going to play the call.
Joe and Andy, just wanted to call about the Purdy discussion you guys had last podcast. I just got to defend my guy, Purdy. I'm a Niner fan. And, I just want to start this off saying I don't think he's great or good at this time. I just think it's a TBD deal. It's hard to say. I don't think it's fair to say he's not good, though. I think it's just to be determined. Right now, he has the 2nd highest yards per pass without Yak. If you remove Yak, so net yards, he's 2nd highest in the league right now. He doesn't even have the top 10 in Yak for all teams in the league. The Niners are 12th in Yak. He's 3rd in the league in completion percentage, and he's one of only 3 starters who has not thrown a pick. So, yes, the Niners are probably the greatest team in NFL history to throw an average or even below average quarterback out there and make them look good or great. And that's not my point. I'm not saying he's great or even good. My point is that you just can't say at this time. I just feel like it's fair to Purdy to say, hey, it's just to be determined until he's on a normal team. So, but I think it's unfair to say he's not doing anything else but dumping it off to the flats and letting his guys run. In fact, he is number 1 in passing downfield for 15 yards or more. So some sneaky good Purdy facts right there, and I think he's underrated right now. Yeah, I know it's early, but just giving the guy some credit for now anyway. So I love Prano. He's nailed every other quarterback discussion in the history of your guys' podcast, and I'm always behind him. But I just think he's starting down the wrong direction on Purdy for now. Anyways, just had to defend my guy. That's my quarterback. Stay dirty.
Every other discussion is now.
Listen, I understand what he's saying, and I'm not going to try to debunk that. That's not really my point. And that's a great call, by the way. And actually, I think if he's calling to defend his guy, dude, go a little bit harder. Like Brock Purdy is good. There's no doubt. Yeah. Dude, in the NFL, you have to you have to play within yourself. You have to this is kind of Tom Brady-ish, where it's like we went so far down the path of like people being like Brady's the GOAT, when there was always people out there who were like, listen, he's not Peyton Manning, he's not fucking this guy, he's not this guy. And it's like, well, what does it matter? He has 7 Super Bowls. And listen, I completely agree with that in the sense that do I think that right now, I think if you called Kyle Shanahan and you're like, hey, we want to do Brock Purdy for Justin Herbert straight up, I think he would go, do you want me to drive Purdy there now? Or do you want me to cut him into small pieces and put him in a FedEx box and ship him to you? I can ship him overnight. Like, how do you want to do this? That being said, I think the way the NFL works is 5 years from now, if Brock Purdy has 2 Super Bowls and Justin Herbert has none, the whole world's going to say Brock Purdy's better than Justin Herbert. When I don't think he is. That being said, you just need to be great in the system that you're in with the players that you have. And Brock Purdy is doing that. My counter to the 15 yards is that is a good number because it's certainly not, you're throwing 7-yard passes every time. But you watched the game last night. It's like the first touchdown for Kittle and even the second touchdown for Kittle. It's like we're getting into like the Russell Wilson is great at throwing the ball downfield guy. It's like, dude, you're dominating teams offensively by tossing the ball to McCaffrey, by putting Debo in the backfield, by being able to throw these screen passes. It's impossible when you're getting death by 1,000 cuts from these short plays not to then get burnt on the play action passes. So 15 yards downfield, but how many balls? And to be fair, Purdy doesn't need to do this right now to win. But how many long passes? And when I say long passes, I'm not talking about play action, deep crosses. How many long passes? I mean, we've seen him overthrow a bunch of balls when we're talking about throwing the ball downfield. But let me just say, I don't care. Who gives a shit? To excel in the system that you are in. I said last week that he has that benefit. I'm not saying he's incapable of throwing the ball down the field. I don't think anybody in the NFL, with very few exceptions historically, is incapable of throwing a 25-yard cross, but 15 yards, we're talking about, the most passes with 15 yards. Dude, they're dominating teams. They're running the ball down fucking people's throats, and then it sets up that play action so perfectly.
Well, look, for sure. But again, we do have another Brady early Patriots discussion. He's part of that reason, like you said, playing in that system. And I'll be honest, man, do you want to mess with team chemistry? I know you just tossed out a hypothetical to Justin Herbert, and nobody would disagree as far as mechanics and arm. But it's like, it's worth. He's never lost a regular season game. What is it? Is it up to 10 now?
Right.
11? He never has lost. And again, I do think The system is amazing, and Shanahan is just a brilliant coach. But you still
it's
have
not
to
even
execute.
really this. It's all that. It's all that, and having just every guy who can touch the ball.
That's what I'm saying. But you have to
execute
a weapon still.
Yeah, of course. That's why. You know, that's why the argument through the years of Brady and Manning and Brady versus Marino and Brady versus Montana and all that stuff. Like, listen, when you want to make a comparison, if we want to forget early Brady, this was Montana's whole fucking game, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Montana, your team is dominant.
Brock Purdy is Montana light.
Yeah, but now what's going to be the question mark is, of course, Joe Montana played epically in every Super Bowl he played in, and was great in the playoffs and all that. And here's the thing. I think it's a very similar situation in that right now I look around the NFC. I don't see a team that they're going to have to really do something out of their comfort zone to beat, even in the playoffs. The Philly defense isn't what they were last year.
No.
Now, Philly's also undefeated, and listen, you can get the idea of them getting hot or getting better, like they're already undefeated. You are your record, but their defense isn't what it was last year. And right now, it's a sleepwalk to the Super Bowl.
Well, I actually think I must say it. So listen up, Lions fans. I'm going to say it. I think right now, this very day, the second best team in the NFC is the Lions. From an all-around team, how they're playing, I think it's Detroit. I think Detroit's definitely playing better football than Philly right now.
And do you think that a Detroit Lions playoff game on the road in Santa Clara, I think they get fucking boat raced?
I agree. I'm just saying, but my point is that's where we're at with the NFC right now.
And by the way, that has nothing to do with Brock Purdy or McCaffrey or whatever, this is where we go back to me saying Brock Purdy isn't having to do a whole lot in terms of driving the ball far downfield, is that the Niners defense is so good that Goff will have to do that, and Purdy can still remain within the system. By the way, I've said this and I'll say it again. You know, the critique of Brady or Montana or whoever was system QB. It's the highest compliment you could give, in my opinion, to a QB. You're in your system. Make it fucking work. The conversation about who is better, like, no one's saying that Tom Brady wasn't better at running the Patriots system than Peyton Manning was at running the Colts system, because the system is all the players you have and all those things. Brock Purdy has looked fucking fantastic. And calling him the system QB is the highest compliment. And the way you look around the league right now, it feels similar to those Montana days where it's like, you guys just run the system the whole fucking time. Like, you know, obviously you know it very well, but the Montana versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl, that's where the question marks come in. We saw system QB Garoppolo with a chance to win a Super Bowl miss a couple throws. We saw Joe Montana, you know, fucking have a sip of Miller Lite on the sideline, smoke half a cigarette, high five John Candy, and then be like, who wants to go win a fucking Super Bowl? Go down the field, carving you up, walk off waving his fucking finger. Where is Brock Purdy between those two guys?
Well, that's the TBD. Yeah, right. That's the TBD.
And I think Brock Purdy, I'm going to like defend myself almost a little bit more against this caller. I think Brock Purdy is great. Now, at the same time, I think if you told Kyle Shanahan, like I said, trading for Justin Herbert, I think Kyle Shanahan's going, well, this isn't about one Super Bowl. This is about long-term projection, what I can do with that guy. Like, again, do you want me to, I'm just going to give Brock the keys to his dad's truck and send him down the freeway.
So if here's my thing. Here's what I was thinking last night watching this game. You talked about growing up, you were low key Niners, where I was the opposite. right? Just from that Super Bowl. I hated the Niners. I always hated them because they were always good in the late 80s, 90s, all those Super Bowls after what they did to the Bengals and that 92-yard drive by Montana, right? So I hated them. But take me to present day. When you talk about watching offenses or NFL offenses I've enjoyed over the years, right? Like loved the Rams' greatest show on turf. And that little window that they had was so fun to watch. Love some of these Patriots teams, especially the Moss. This team, the Dallas Cowboys and their run, those were a fun offense to watch as a kid. This team now, as far as watching them run both sides of the ball for sure, but I'm particularly focusing on the offense. It's just fun to watch because you're saying, what's he going to do? What's he going to write up or draw up for the next play? It's a fun team to watch.
The reason I think the Niners are so dominant and so dangerous on the offensive side of the ball right now is they can, like, it's such a kind of like a elementary idea, but you need the manpower to do it. They can run these play actions with Purdy on first down because everybody assumes they're going to run the ball, and then it opens up all that stuff. And if they are incomplete and you know, obviously Purdy did not look human like I predicted last week, but they're early in the game after the first drive, which is, we all know, is the scripted drive. He had a couple of throws, like the next couple drives, there's a lot of throwing into defenders' hands at the line, getting tip passes, or a couple overthrows, a couple things. It was like, ooh, but what they can do is they can run those plays on first down. And if they're looking at 2nd and 10, it seems like their playbook is endless when it comes from going from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 2. Like, it just seems like they have an endless amount of 7 to 8 yard plays. Oh, we're faking a jet sweep and tossing to McCaffrey. Oh, we're doing a little hitch with Kittle. Oh, we're putting Debo in the backfield. And you go from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 2 because he just took a sweep to just, hey, run to the sticks, you know, all the screens, all the things. And they put themselves in these 3rd and short situations. And then you go, fuck, dude, I don't know what they could do anything right now.
Yeah, it's an open playbook. Now we have to talk about the Cowboys conversely. The Cowboys, again, to quote our boy Tug Coker, paper tigers. They headed into this game, their wins were against the Jets, you Giants, and what other not good team do they beat?
The Patriots,
who are an absolute dumpster fire right now. So that defense, which had given up the fewest points in the league, had faced 3 pretty piss poor offenses. So not only was their offense exposed, I think their defense was exposed to a huge degree. And Dak Prescott, here we are again, man. 3 picks. He ain't that guy, man. He just ain't that guy.
Well, there's 2 sides to this, and let's first talk about their defense. Obviously, I've talked about my now failed prediction. I also predicted the Niners win this game and cover, and the reason I thought that is because I just thought the Niners are too much. But the Dallas defense, I came into this game going, they might not stop them, but they have playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. They have guys who, even, you know, in games where they're not dominating, are going to be able to make a couple plays. And I kind of expected that to happen. But you get into a situation where you're playing a team that's, from a personnel standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, talent standpoint, better than you. You then get into a situation where that team can just say, hey, let's only focus on stopping those playmakers from making huge plays, and otherwise just fucking run it down their throats. Yeah. And that's what they did. That then puts the onus on the offense to try to stay within the game. And of course, I agree with you that this is sort of, I don't even want to do it because it's offensive to Brock Purdy. But this is kind of the situation that we're talking about, is you'll never know what kind of guy a quarterback really is until he's forced into those situations. Early in Dak Prescott's career, they're running people over with a great offensive line, and with Zeke, we remember, was in the MVP conversation, and they're winning games close, and they're playing great defense, and they're running the ball down your throat, and Dak Prescott's playing this very, and it came up this weekend, mistake-free game. The CJ Stroud just broke his record for most consecutive passes to start a career without an interception. That was the way Dak Prescott was playing early on in his career. You don't have to take a ton of chances. Run the ball down their throats. Do the play action. Use your legs a little bit if you need to. Stay within yourself. But then the last few years, the Cowboys personnel situation is we need Dak at some point to go make plays. And he is not that guy. Yeah. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
No, he's not. And I don't know how many of these just bad games we need to see. He led the NFL in interceptions last year. And there look, we agree. There are good interceptions and there are bad interceptions.
100%.
He throws bad interceptions.
Yeah, there's not good interceptions, but there's,
you know what I mean?
Right.
There's tip balls. There's, hey, I got to make a play. It's third down. We're losing.
There's punts. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to force something. Like there are different, there's a spectrum of interceptions. There is, which I don't feel gets discussed as much, enough as it should. But he's making bad throws. He's making reckless throws. He's making throws that look desperate at times.
I mean, it was Goff and Trubisky years ago where we coined the medium pizza game.
Correct.
And I believe the Rams won that game. And didn't they go on to play the Cowboys?
No, they actually lost that game.
They lost.
They lost to the Bears, but they made it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They crushed the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That playoff game was in LA, and who's the guy who came in for an injured Todd Gurley and he rushed all over him?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
OJ and somebody Anderson?
I think that's correct. Is it CJ Anderson?
Yeah.
We're at that point right now with Dak where it's like you're fully, and I think we've said it before. It's like you're fully medium pizza because
Dak's a medium pizza now.
Yeah. If not like I mean, I think he's I think he's Goff when he wasn't on a dominant team. I think he's Trubisky when he wasn't on a great team. It's like when you're a medium pizza and you show up and people are like, oh, I'm only medium hungry. And like, I wasn't expecting this pizza. And that's great because somebody already brought wings and somebody already brought, all like a side salad. You're like, throw the medium pizza out here. And no one questions it.
Yeah.
But when six guys are sitting around a football game smashing Miller Lights and one guy's like, I ordered pizza and a medium pizza arrives, that guy's going to get murdered. You're going to be like, what is this, bro? We're all taking one slice out of a medium?
I can't.
Like, is this some sort of Chinese pizza torture?
By the way, I ordered 2 medium pizzas.
Right.
What was the move? What was I thinking? Now, I know it was only a few of us because we called that game live.
Oh, that was and that wasn't even my example, but that's a whole different thing. I mean, we were making a day of it and you ordered 2 medium pizzas.
No, we were doing a Sunday night game.
Yeah, but we're calling the game and like, whatever, it's like, that's a go big or go home situation. But yeah, I mean, imagine if just one medium pizza had showed up. It would have been World War III. And that's where you're at.
I can't argue though. At first when you said Dak's a medium pizza, I want to be like, is he? But it's tough to argue that he's not a medium pizza.
Yeah.
He's got a topping. I'll say he's like a pepperoni or a sausage.
Sure.
He's not cheese.
But listen, the Cowboys defense isn't bad.
No,
right?
Of course not.
They're not bad. Every team's defense is gonna look bad against the Niners. They have playmakers out there, but the offense has weapons. They've only beaten really bad teams. Like again, Like, if you pick up Dak Prescott, let me just ask you this question. And again, I feel like maybe there's some confusion here as to my thoughts on Brock Purdy, which is like, I hope we never have to find out. Like, if I was a Niners fan, it's like, I hope I never have to find out if Brock has this in him, because it's like, who gives a shit? Just do your job. But are the Niners undefeated if they have Dak Prescott this year?
No.
I think they're absolutely undefeated.
You do?
Yeah. I think they're absolutely undefeated. I think that's the perfect example is like,
I don't know, man. He makes
who do they lose to?
I don't know. He makes so many mistakes
when he needs to make a play. That's the situation. Dak Prescott ain't that guy. Dak Prescott can exist and look great and make and start his career with a record-setting lack of interceptions when they're feeding Zeke and the offensive line is dominant and they're stopping people on defense.
Yeah.
But when the other team is putting up points and you have to also make a play, he has weapons.
Sure.
He's not that fucking guy. He's a medium pizza.
All right, we got to get through some of these other teams, some of these games. Give a lot of attention to this. But that's
well,
fine.
it was I mean it
was a big game.
It's a big game. The Niners came out and showed they're the best team in football, and they also exposed the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Now the NFC, or it sounds like we kind of know where we're at in the NFC. The AFC's kind of taking some turns I didn't really think would happen this early. You have just jumbled up divisions. You have the Chiefs, who are still leading the way. But that was a fun little back and forth game. A little bummed about the spread there. A little bummed that, just they were close. They were close. But they just couldn't get it done. Your boy, Captain Kirk. What did you make of that? What did you make of that pass interference, non-pass interference call?
Uncatchable, obviously, right?
See, for me, those are tough because if he comes back, it's tough for me to gauge, could he get near that ball?
Near it and catch it, I think, are different things.
But isn't that all we're going for?
No, I think the determination, honestly, to me, sorry for hitting that. To me, I need to feel like the NFL is doing a good job of officiating these games, which I still don't think they are. I need the occasional uncatchable. We just can't. This strategy for these middle of the road teams can't just be chuck it when the offense knows where the play is coming. They have the elite athlete and we're just gonna do a heave and that's gonna run it off. It's like offenses are good enough at this point.
Sure.
That ball was uncatchable, in my opinion. Now the whole thing with the helmet off, Vikings fans, you guys have embarrassed yourself to the point.
Well, here's the deal. That is a penalty.
Yeah, but also it doesn't change it. You don't keep the ball.
So they would still have the ball. It is odd that they don't call that. He blatantly takes his helmet off. You got to call the 15 yards.
Sure.
That's.
I think the only reason they didn't, and obviously it is a penalty, is it seemed like he took his helmet off calmly to have a conversation with them as opposed to throwing it or whatever.
Well,
I know. Letter of the
law.
I know the letter of the law, of course. That being said, it doesn't change the game at all.
No,
because the Chiefs still get the ball. It's still 1st and 10.
True.
It's just where they get the ball.
I was hoping they would kick a field goal cover.
And also, can we just does it? I know Vikings fans are like, Joe, can you just let us be? No, I can't. First of all, focus on the Twins, guys, because your football season is over. Doesn't it? It's kind of fun. I mean, I want them to get blown out every week, but it's kind of fun that at the end of every single game, the other team gives Kirk Cousins 4 opportunities to be clutch. I mean, he's had in the last 4 games, he's had 15 drives to be clutch and is 0 for 15. He didn't even get the Hail Mary off.
Yeah, these end of games are pretty telltale for quarterbacks, right? You watch the end of some of these games and teams that can at least make like the Bills didn't win, but I texted you, they're down 2 scores. Josh Allen drives down literally in like 3 plays to set up the onside kick. My point is, like, to me, that's a telltale sign. Okay, we're down 2 touchdowns with literally like 2 minutes and change to go. What are you going to do? Oh, shit, you're going to drive right down? Give me a chance, a small chance. And then you got guys like Kirk Cousins, and I'm going to throw Lamar Jackson in there, how that game ended.
Bro. The last 3 drives, I tweeted it yesterday. The last 3 drives are a horrible throw into the end zone that's picked. You literally, like, the name of that game, the whole point of that route, the whole point of that strategy, the only reason teams do it is you throw that ball up in a way where your guy gets it, or it goes over his head, or it goes out of bounds, or whatever. He underthrows a 9-yard fade by 5 yards. Next drive, sack, strip, fumble.
Yeah.
Next drive, gets a receiver murdered. Is that guy alive? Murdered with an overthrow over the middle. And then was that the order it went? And then how did the game ended on a strip sack fumble?
Yeah. And I was watching that game pretty intently. Not a fun game.
Terrible
to watch.
pick, strip sacked.
Yeah.
Gets a receiver killed, and then just sacked to end the game. Sack to end the game, time runs out because he goes down.
I can't believe they lost that game. That was a game, and I took the I took the Steelers to cover, and I had zero confidence in it.
So listen, what a painful game to watch when you're a lone man on Picket Island. You're just out here planting flags on Picket Island, and people are like, dude, this may as well be Firefest. What are you doing there? And I'm like, I don't know.
He made a clutch throw at the end for the touch.
I know. This is what I'm saying.
For the touch, here's the thing. This offense for the Ravens, it looked pretty well against the Bengals. Like, they played pretty decently against the Bengals, the game I went to. They're not looking good, though. And I know they have injuries, guys. Everybody's going to bring that up. I know they have injuries. But they went out.
That's like the name of the fucking NFL.
That's the thing. They bring in Odell. They draft Zay Jones. Like they made moves for Lamar. This is not that offense. Everybody, do you remember the hype train? I just want to remind people, the hype train on the Ravens. Oh, we got a new offensive coordinator. We got some wide receivers. This is going to be Lamar's year. It's just not so far. We're almost a third into the season. That division's completely up for grabs at this point, right? You have Pittsburgh is somehow 3-2. Ravens are 3-2. The Bengals with a must-need win yesterday, right? A game back at 2-3.
And where are the Browns at?
2-2. They don't buy.
Right. So everybody's right there.
Everybody's right there. I'm not going to put too much into the Bengals win yesterday. I'll say this much. You save your season for sure. Joe Burrow looked very good yesterday. He showed he can throw the deep ball. He can move in the pocket. That's a huge sign for Bengals fans. But again, I hate to just keep bringing this up. I think Taylor is so bad. Here's why. I'm not arguing. Yesterday's game exposes how bad he is, because what they did was they said, we're just going to get Jamar Chase the ball, right? Like, Joe, we're going to do some of these quick 2-yard outs. You're Jamar Chase. You make guys miss. He sets a record for most receptions in Bengals history in one game. My point is, the 2 games they've won, 12 catches, Rams, 15 catches. It's not rocket science. My knock on Zach Taylor's play calling, again, it's all about the play calling, is, dude, it shouldn't take you 5 games to figure out, hey, maybe if we get Jamar in space every single game with a hobbled quarterback, things can happen.
Which, listen, we talked about the Niners before, and why the Niners are so dominant is it almost feels like Shanahan has a list of his weapons, and he is trying to keep everybody fairly even throughout the game. And that's why they're so dominant. It's like, ooh, we haven't done a Debo play in a minute. We haven't done a fucking Kittle play in a minute. And it seems like he's checking these boxes. That's why they're so dominant. But you have a lot of teams that only have a weapon or two weapons. I mean, you look at the Vikings, dude, like Justin Jefferson hurt is Kirk Cousins' pacifier. Like he would cry if he didn't have him in his mouth. Like and it's like to some degree, you're like, well, not a great situation to be in when your quarterback only looks good because he has a security blanket receiver that he always throws to in need. But dude, Patrick Mahomes has that with Travis Kelce. It's not like good teams don't do this. Like, it's okay if you're Zach Taylor to be like, when in doubt, throw it to Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I'm sure you saw what he said last week. I'm always fucking open.
Yeah.
I just don't understand again why it would take this long to just say we're going to force feed him. That division, I tell you what though, it's like, who do you pick?
Well, you buried the Bengals last week.
I did. I still think it's 9 and I keep texting my buddy to mess with him. I keep saying 9-8 season. I've been doing that since they started 1-2. I kept saying 9-8 season, 9-8 season. I stick by that. I think we're around that. Like they're like, if I'm in that wheelhouse, 9-8.
When you look at the teams, it's like, if you're a Bengals fan, which I know a lot of our listeners are, you can't be worried that it's like the Ravens are running away with this fucking division. The Steelers, good for the Steelers for being like right in it and being sneaky. Yeah, but like, and the Browns, their defense is so good, but they're sitting there at 2-2. You got to feel good if you're the Bengals, not because of how you guys played yesterday, but just like the state of the division.
100%. But if I was one of those fans as well, you got to be worried because the biggest Achilles heel are those type of defenses. They're going to get the quarterback. The Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. It's like, dude, those guys. I'll say that the division, I think, or as far as the Bengals, the next two games are going to decide that. They get the Seahawks at home, bye, then they're at San Francisco. If you can split those and go to 3-4, you're still in it. You drop to 2-5. I would say you're most likely out. I don't see them beating San Francisco.
Well, again, it's all the, and this is when you look around the league right now. Like the Eagles are 5-0, but the Eagles came out with like a nice little softie to start, a couple soft games, like, and they played them close. It's not just how many wins you have, it's where your wins are coming and where your losses are coming. And that's why the game against the Titans was so fucking killer for the Bengals. It's like, cool, you got your win against the Cardinals, you're 2-3. You were 2-3 last year or whatever. But it's like, dude, some of your losses, you have to think that you're going to lose to the Niners. And maybe you don't think you're going to lose to the Seahawks, but now you're in a position where you have to beat a scrappy Seahawks team.
I think they do. I think that'll be a good game. That'll be a good test. Side note, speaking of the Seahawks, listen to the full Marshawn Lynch. It's a 2-part podcast. It's about 2 hours total on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay. What a great listen. There's a lot of nugs in there that I didn't play. My favorite is, dude, you can't make this up. You talk about another knock on Russell Wilson. Dude, this is unbelievable. Did you hear what Russell Wilson said to him? After the interception during the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson said to Marshawn Lynch, "We'll get him next time." Bro. And then Marshawn went and laughed in Pete Carroll's face, which everybody's playing that clip. He said, "We'll get him next time." What a cornball.
Here's a perfect transition, right?
Yeah.
And we got to talk Jets Broncos
for sure.
This is a 6-pack of predictions that I poured and chugged and let out a good after, because I've obviously been very critical of Russell Wilson again, this was me on Firefest Island back in the day. I'm like, I'm here if anybody wants to join me. And people are like, that guy's crazy. And I was like, okay, but there's coconuts here. There's I've dug a saltwater pool. It's getting pretty nice here. You sure you guys don't want to come? And now it's like fucking Key West. It's overrun with people. Yeah. But I predicted Zach Wilson outplays Russell Wilson, and the Jets win, which obviously happened. The game's a big Nathaniel Hackett, Sean Payton revenge game. But what's funny is, and I always obviously found Russ defenders to be insane, even when he was on a team that was winning, is if you had gone on, you could still find it. Obviously, a lot of people haven't deleted it. It was Russell Wilson isn't playing bad. Russell Wilson isn't the problem with the Broncos, which there's a lot of problems when your team stinks. But at the same time, we cannot, in good faith, be a person that goes on the internet and talks sports and points to Russell Wilson's like yardage in a game against the fucking Dolphins, where they were in a prevent from the middle of the first quarter. They scored 70 on you, bro. Oh, Russell Wilson threw like averaged some nice yards per attempt. Yeah, dude. But they were getting their fucking shit pushed in. And then you come home yesterday against the Jets team, which obviously has a fairly good defense, is going to struggle to fucking move the ball. You take a safety. You have a strip sack fumble for the loss. Russell Wilson isn't good. The end. Zach Wilson outplayed Russell Wilson. The Jets won. And is it Daniel Hackett? Yeah. Nathaniel Hackett and his brother Daniel Hackett danced on Sean Payton's fucking visor.
We got a call by Sean Payton.
From a Broncos fan?
No, from Kyle
Saints fan. Oh, okay.
Calling back once again from beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, home of the 1998 Little League World Series champions. I think that Sean Payton might be the biggest fraud in the history of fraudulence, like since that word was created. I mean, you got one Super Bowl. You probably should have made it to a second one. But the level of talent that he had on those teams and didn't do shit. And now your Broncos are 1-4 or whatever they are, and they're going to go fucking 4-13 or whatever, 4-12, 4-13, whatever the schedule is now. You fucking stink. And don't talk about my offensive coordinator. I'm allowed to talk shit about my offensive coordinator. I'm allowed to wish death upon him and his loved ones. You're not. You're not a Jets fan. You don't have to watch it every week. So don't do that. You're not allowed to talk about him. I am. You're not. And also, you got a fucking dart in your neck. Fucking Sean Payton. Cons are for Sean Payton and Travis Kelce and lastly, the New England Patriots. Fuck them.
I love it. First of all, I love the dirty slides. Fuck them at the end. Second of all, I love the old school reference, but I don't know why. I don't know why he has a dart in his neck.
I was wondering why he did the Sean William Scott to Will Ferrell. You got a fucking dart in your neck. Awesome.
He's like,
he goes, yes.
He's like, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
I mean, we've talked about it at length at this point. Sean Payton coming back. They do have a worse record through 5 games than Hackett had last year. Their defense, which last year, their defense was great. I think people forget. Their defense was great. The defense under Sean Payton, I know he's an offensive guy. I think I saw a stat. Did you see this? They've given up the second most points ever through 5 games. Now, we know 70 points didn't help. but ever through 5 games. So the point is, like, you bring in this offensive guy, defense is shit.
You can go back on this podcast, guys. You know me. When I fucking make a claim and I end up right, I will fucking reference it forever. You can go back on this podcast. You can listen to me say it. You can listen to me say, you have a good defense. The Seahawks won a Super Bowl because they had a good defense and they made Russ game manage. The shit went awry when let Russ cook started. You bring him over to Denver. He looks like shit. And your strategy is get Sean Payton to help Russ cook. I said it word for fucking word. If the Broncos think that Russell Wilson can be the guy, then what they should do is follow the blueprint already set out for how Russell Wilson wins games. Take your good defense, get a defensive coach like Pete Carroll. Obviously, Pete Carroll was not available. Focus on stopping teams, focus on running the ball, focus on setting up play action. Make Russell Wilson serve drinks, not cook. Make Russell Wilson bar back.
It's funny you say that. I'm going to bring it back to that Marshawn Lynch podcast. That's what he was saying. He was like, look, man, our recipe for success was so good. And he didn't really have the best. I shouldn't say it wasn't he didn't have a bad relationship with Pete Carroll. He said, Pete, he only said Pete's a great coach, but it was funny. He basically said, Pete's a rah, that's not me. I'll see you on Sunday and I'll show up ready to play.
Yeah.
And but he also said a lot of guys bought in and that was good for our team. But anyway, my point is Marshawn Lynch said something interesting. He said, I think Pete, ever since it all blew up, has been trying to mimic again that formula with the defense, with the running game, with that type of quarterback. And his point was but there isn't, right? There was only so many of those guys. You're not able to mimic it. But the discussion, like you're saying with Russ, is that.
I think the thing about Pete mimicking it is if Pete's not done, which obviously there's no sign of him being done, is you remember the Seahawks were like, oh, sneaky good and kind of hanging around and whatever before that. I think what Pete's trying to do is build it again.
And that's what he's saying.
Is forget mimic it because you don't have the talent to mimic it right now, but you can build it. And by building it, what you do is we don't go get a quarterback who we think can be a game changer right now and try to have a shootout. It's like good run the ball down your throat offenses, play smash mouth football defenses. That's all built fucking slowly. You've got to acquire, you got to have the guys.
Well, they got some good young draft picks defensively.
Exactly. But also when you look at what the Seahawks did, they're in a position to build it because they traded Russell Wilson for a bunch of draft picks.
For sure. And again, that kind of sucks because it's a what could have been for sure, those teams. But you can't argue that as far as the current Broncos, that they need the defense. They need that same formula.
But also,
what do they do?
But also, what a reckless, what a poorly played poker hand that you had. You're in the AFC West. You've got a pretty good defense. There's a model here for we can't outscore the Chiefs. We can't outscore the Chargers. If we want to compete in this division, we need to be the team that stops them. It's so clear. Meanwhile, instead they're like, let's go get Russell Wilson and try to fucking have shootouts with the Chiefs and the Chargers. And it's like, guys, you can't have shootouts with that. You can't have shootouts with the Jets. And it's why I said to all you, again, I will fucking do my touchdown celebration. It'll be an elaborate choreographed dance when I am right. Shameful football takes for people to be like, yep, Russell Wilson to the Broncos, they're going to be a playoff team. Dude, they're in a division where everybody's offense is better.
Yeah.
And the two teams that are, have been playoff teams the last few years, their offense is worlds better.
Sure.
We have young receivers. Cool. I guess go get Russ then and let him cook.
Well, the good news for the Jets and the Jets fans, which was always bad news, you're in the same division as the Patriots.
Yeah.
How bad and how far have the Patriots fallen? The Patriots are unwatchable programming on TV. It's an abomination of football. I don't know what it is, but it's not football. What do they do? Is Belichick, is he donezo? What's going on here?
It's tough. It's tough to look at. First of all, you just said in relation to the Jets. I mean, the Jets season's totally different right now. It's obviously turning around a little bit, but God damn it, the Patriots are so bad. Can you imagine? Like, you guys you lost to the Patriots. This Jets team of 3-2 versus 2-3. It's a big fucking difference.
Big difference.
If they had beaten that Patriots team, especially since they already have a win against the Bills. So that Patriots loss could be haunting the Jets the whole season. But back to the Patriots. What's crazy about the Patriots right now is that if you look at the Patriots historically, besides the Randy Moss, undefeated season, you look at, obviously Brady turned into one of the great quarterbacks of all time, if not one of the great football players of all time. But they were never a team packed with like crazy playmakers. Gronk ended up being a crazy playmaker, but like it feels like Belichick was always great at getting these guys who could just like know their role and play their role. And now, obviously, the quarterback is a big position, but like they don't have guys anywhere that really stand out as great players. And I guess the question is, forget Belichick as a coach right now, because I think it's not like he's lost the ability to strategize.
Yeah.
But they're just getting dominated. I guess the question is more about Belichick's ability to find talent. Like it seems like he's really hit a wall.
Well, he has as a talent evaluator, not just defensively. Look at some of these offensive moves at wide receiver they've done the last few years.
But they never had those guys, right? It's like they kind of always had.
No, I know, but let's not forget they traded up for Mac Jones.
Right.
I mean, they're striking out on all these picks. It's like he's lost that touch.
That's a bigger thing. But now the question is, they're getting their asses so thoroughly kicked that the conspiracy of, forget the getting fired. I've seen the conspiracy of him wanting to get fired and moves elsewhere. But what, like, is this tank mode now? Has Belichick sort of checked his own ego where he's like, you know what? The whole Brady Belichick thing is like, maybe I still believe that it was more me than it was Tom, but also it helps to have an elite quarterback. I should go get one of those. Or the secondary conspiracy, is he trying to lose to go elsewhere? Or are they just fucking bad?
They suck, dude.
Or a combination of all three. He's like, whatever, let's just lose a bunch of games. I get a high draft pick if we do. I can get fired if we do. I mean, obviously the Patriots are never going to fire him, right? They would never.
You wouldn't think. I mean, him and Pete Carroll are the oldest coaches. I believe they're both in their 70s, maybe. I know Carroll is. At what point do you just like, I don't want to deal with this shit?
It doesn't seem Belichickian to chase the record because obviously he's got the record for Super Bowls. How important do you think that wins thing is to him? And is that the only reason that he sticks around for a few more years, whether it be there or elsewhere?
I don't know.
Because, dude, at this point, like, I mean, what isn't he like 40 games off it or 30 games off it? Like, 30 games off it means you got to win 10 games a year for 3 years.
Yeah.
30 games off it at the pace you're at, you have to coach 6 more seasons, dude.
I mean, he's number, where's he at? All right, I'm pulling up right now. So Shula has 328. Yeah, he's about 30 games off. George Halas 318. I mean, can we get this shit out of here though? Can we just, with the Decatur Staleys and the Chicago Staleys I'm sorry, these fucking records that were from 1920 to 1967.
Well, also, to be fair, to be fair, they were also playing like 4 games a season. So that's a lot of fucking wins. They didn't have a 17-game season.
Yeah, he coached for 47 fucking years, basically. I'm just saying, like, I'm sick of old records. I'm going to go on record of our show. I'm sick of sports old records. If only white people were playing, it's not a fucking record. Baseball, football, basketball. I'm sick of old records.
This is very Jameis one of you. Goatsby, goat of the Super Bowl era.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
It's like how I view baseball records. Dude, before Jackie Robinson, before integration existed, I don't care what Ty Cobb did. Sorry. I just don't care. In the same way, when Wilt Chamberlain was 7 feet tall, dunking on a bunch of white guys my size. Anyway, I just get sick of these old records because you see them and they're like, "Whoa,
well, listen, who cares? I don't give a fuck who. Like, if you had asked me 6 months ago before Belichick got to 300 or whatever, or he's right at 300. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have told you Don Shula has the most wins of all time. I would have had no idea who was second or who was third, or I didn't know that Andy Reid was moving up the list and whatever. It's like, I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff. So the question though is this a part of the decision for Belichick? Like, if you're Bill Belichick, like, why didn't you leave when Brady left? Why? I mean, obviously, I think he felt like he had something to prove, but it's like, you haven't proven it. And
it's actually the opposite. He's hurting himself by sucking.
Now, I think the counter to the Brady thing, the Brady Belichick thing, is I think Tom Brady's a smart guy. It's the reason Tom Brady was so great in Belichick's system. It was the reason that a guy like him with athletic ability fell as far as he did, but Belichick saw it. He's a smart guy. I mean, I think the Brady leaving thing, everybody was like, "Oh, the Patriots are mishandling it." Like, I think Brady was like, "We're not good, and I've got something left, so I'm going to leave and go someplace where they are good because I'm not going to win here, and I'm out." So I think Brady just was diving off of a plane that was going down.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But like, they're bad, man.
Oh,
they're awful. Are they the worst team in the AFC? Right?
Who's below them? I mean, the Broncos.
I mean, I think they're on par with each other. And especially you bringing up that Jets losing to them with the Bills losing yesterday in London. That was a fun game to watch, by the way.
And with the Jets beating the Bills.
Yeah. I want to talk about some bad quarterback turnovers, though.
Okay.
I noticed some bad turnovers yesterday. Trevor Lawrence, 2 awful fumble turnovers in a game that the Jags dominate. Guys, if you watch that game, now I know it was real early your time. I watched the whole game start to finish. Jags dominate.
I was still in Florida.
Okay. Jags dominate that game, man.
Yeah.
It's only close because Trevor Lawrence, they missed at minimum 2 6-point opportunities by sack fumble. I just like those were bad turnovers. Those Tua picks, I just want to say the Tua picks are why I can't be a Tua guy yet. I don't know. Like his pick six, this pick six is a bad pass.
I mean, right? And what's amazing is the guy who ran it, like the other guy was also, it was a pick six if the first guy caught it.
That's what I'm saying. It was just a bad pass. And then the second one, I actually texted you. This second Tua pick, what is he doing?
Listen, dude, we've talked about it. It's like, this isn't Tua the perfect example. It's like, oh, cool. Everybody's fucking jacking off to the Dolphins because you score 70 points against the Broncos. Everybody's like, oh, Andy, you're going at Tua in a game that they fucking dominated the Giants. Isn't Tua exactly what we were talking about? Isn't Tua a guy that when he has all the weapons and his team's playing a shitty team, he looks fucking fantastic? And then
the Bills show up.
Right.
They get boat raced.
Like,
no, yeah, that's a good point.
I know everybody's fucking Tua. I know there's crazy Tua defenders out there, and I don't think Tua's bad.
No, I'm not bad. Yeah, I'm not saying that either.
But the idea, listen, Tua's a lot closer to Dak Prescott than he is to Joe Burrow.
100%.
He's a lot closer to Dak Prescott than he is to Patrick Mahomes.
100%. No, I totally agree. I mean, it's again, some of these plays, like I'm talking with the Lawrence and the Tua, and then we talk about Lamar, some of those turnovers. Here's my thing on quarterback play. Something that I don't think is talked about enough. It's these types of things. Like if you, again, there is a spectrum of interceptions. And a lot of these turnovers and some of these guys, they're just bad, man. And to me, rarely do you see a Patrick Mahomes do that. Just a terrible pick. Joe Burrow. Like, you're not going to see just a terrible pick.
And if you do, it's rare.
It's rare. I don't know. Look, the Dolphins are going to be interesting, and they're fun to watch. Don't get me wrong.
They're running the fuck out of the football.
They're running the shit out of the football. They're getting Tyreek Hill in space, and that also helps too, for the record.
Yeah.
What?
The Tyreek Hill in space yesterday was,
dude.
Just you run by a guy. Like, imagine. Here's the thing with my fucking Giants is like I don't even know that I want to fucking talk about the Giants offensive line extensively because it's like, what is there to say other than it is 9/11. What's happening on the Giants offensive line is worse than what's happening in Israel right now. Like, it's fucking atrocious. That being said, imagine being a safety in the NFL and ignoring Tyreek Hill in press coverage on one of your quarterbacks. Just being like, that cheetah may or may not run by that corner. Like, dude, what are you guys like? What is that?
His name is Cheetah. They call him a cheetah for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. You look. I know it's early. I want to ask for a couple predictions though after 5 games. Now, maybe we should save this for the Miller Lite 6-pack of predictions. But I just want to do off the top of my head. Who wins the AFC East?
What's the where's the standings right now? I mean, it's either the Bills or the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
I just think the Jets are going to have to struggle so hard to win games.
Dolphins are 4-1. Bills are 3-2.
I mean, I think it's going to come down to the end because I just think we're in a situation now where the Bills and the Dolphins are two teams that are in the good team list. There's to me, there's a short list of good teams at this point, like really good teams that like any given Sunday, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a fuck? I'm talking about teams where it's like, okay, they can make a playoff run. I'm going to say the Bills, but that's without taking a close look at their schedules.
I think it's the Bills for sure. I think the AFC North is the same thing. It's like
the problem is it's like, again, the good team situation. Like you look, if I have a feeling if I pull up the Dolphins schedule, like they've already played the Bills once. Like how many good teams do they have on their schedule going forward? Good teams, So they're at the Panthers next week. That's a win. They're 14-point favorites right now. They have the Eagles after that. I think one of those teams can win the game. So they do have the Chiefs on their schedule, but they go Patriots, Chiefs, Raiders, Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. Like they might lose 3 more games total. That's, So it's like, it's hard to pick against them because I don't think, but they do have the Bills one more time, and it's in week 7. Man, that game's going to be for the division. Probably in Miami in week 18. The Bills just have the Giants. That's a win. The Patriots win. Bucks, probably a win. Bengals, that'll be a tough game for them. Broncos, they'll score 1,000 points. Jets, Eagles, they play the Chiefs again. They have the Chargers. See, it's like, I think they have a tougher schedule on paper going forward, and their game back.
But here's where I'm at with all these teams. Like you said, there's only a few really good teams. I think now in the AFC, just like the NFC, I think it's a small number of teams who can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like real small.
So listen. Forget who wins the division and forget their playoff matchups. Forget it, right? It's easier for me to answer this question than it is for me to answer your last question. To me, the Bills have a significantly better chance of winning the Super Bowl.
100%. That's what I'm bringing. That's what I'm getting to winning the Super Bowl, to making it to the Super Bowl. In fact,
who wins the division is a big part of that. At the same time, but I just think who has a better chance of beating 3 or 4 playoff level football teams? I think it's the Bills.
Yeah. Well,
and mostly because it's Josh Allen versus Tua. Mostly because the Dolphins have better weapons. Dolphins are running the shit out of the football, which is a huge help. It takes the pressure off Tua. It makes him able to be, like we talked about early in the show, you don't really have to be a guy who takes a ton of chances. You don't really have to be a guy who does too much. But at the same time, I think that in a head-to-head game, I think the Bills are probably better than them. They've already kind of proven that. The Chiefs are better than them. So it's tough road to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I'm going to play a call concerning our picks. We have an idea. We're through 5 weeks.
I was going to say, Mada's got to start sending me the things because I'm not. They're usually posted on Reddit. I don't even know how we did this week.
Oh, yeah. You picked up a point.
Okay.
Fucking Dallas. So I got a 4-point lead after 5 weeks. So we have a call about this.
Okay.
So I want to hear your thoughts.
Sure.
Hey, Dirty Sports, Mark from Wisconsin here. I got 2 quick things I want to talk about here, so I'm going to try to rush through both of them. First of all, condoms are for the quote-unquote dirtballs who didn't enjoy the interview you guys had with David Zucker and the rest of the airplane crew last week. I thought it was great, and I feel like for the people who didn't love it, if they would have actually listened, there was some good stuff there. I mean, that story they told about the advice they always give to people trying to make it in the film industry about how don't even try, give up, go home. And then it's those people that if they actually come back, those are the ones that have a shot. I mean, that's gold. That's like legit life advice, which, we get from time to time on the Dirty Sports podcast, but listening to some other people give some life advice, that's going to stick with me for a while. So condoms are for the people who were shitting on that interview. But the other thing I wanted to get on is, I guess by the time this call would get played on the show, we'll be 5 weeks into the NFL season. And as far as I'm aware, there is no bet set yet for your guys' head-to-head pick'em. Just kind of wanted to get the ball rolling on that. I'll let you guys start the negotiations. If I could throw an idea out there, though, I know that there are 2 outstanding bets floating around, one for each of you. Ruther still has to enroll in a women's studies course, and Prano still has to spend a day in IKEA. So just a thought that I had was maybe you incorporate that into this season's bet. You could do something where the winner gets that waived, so it's more of a reward. And then for the loser, the timer starts. Andy, you got 2 months to enroll in a women's studies course. Prano, you got 2 months to spend a day in IKEA. Just my thought. More so, just wanted to get the ball rolling on your guys' discussion on that. No need to take my idea. But yeah, here's to hear what bet you guys come up with, and stay dirty. Hey, Dirty Sports, Mark from Wisconsin here. I got 2 quick.
Right. So look, here's the thing. I've seen some digs, and I'm not gonna defend myself. I've seen some digs, both of us. About
I would like to just point out one thing, because I've seen some digs as well. I would just like to say, for some people have taken the dig without and have made false claims, which is no years do we fucking do it. First of all, we've done a lot of shit. Last year, I almost died in the Rio hotel. Within the seconds of the season ending, I ate fucking 7 danger witches. Okay. Also, I've had my hair dyed fucking purple. We've done a lot of these fucking.
I went to an Insane Clown Posse concert.
Yeah, we've done a lot of these bets. There's 2 outstandings. One of them is neither of them are from last year. So can we get a little bit of a fucking break yes, Andy had 2 full seasons before he had a child, but he does now have a child. Also, I know it is used as one of the things to shit on me about, but I am a 44-year-old touring comedian. It's not like I've oh, good, Andy and all the fucking sick-minded dirtballs we have forgotten that I'm supposed to spend 24 hours in IKEA. Guys, we'll fucking do it. And maybe there is a discussion to be had where this year's bet elevates in some way, and part of that is a reward situation, so 2 busy guys don't have to fucking do outstanding bets. Sure, now maybe that isn't going to make people happy, but perhaps if the bet that we come up for this year is elaborate enough, then maybe they're okay with it. But again, we owe you nothing.
Well, look, and I don't, like I said, it's fine if people want to say, they have these. Yeah, we do. We have 2 outstanding, and mine has nothing to do. Mine literally goes back to how many seasons ago with the L chain, and then I was caught on the other podcast not wearing it. So it's it's like a deep dive within old seasons. I don't even remember when the IKEA one, but yeah, you did do the Danger Witch, which
is 2 seasons ago. The IKEA
which to be honest, I like. I liked that bet last year because of that very reason. I don't have to travel anywhere. Not that
I just spent $96 and had Uber Eats deliver me death on a fucking on sourdough.
Which exactly. Versus you having to go to an IKEA. I'm not trying to make excuses. Some people are like, yeah, you are, Ruther, which was fine, but that was a pretty easy bet either of us could have done. Now, I'm open. Like I said, I'm open to these things too. A quote unquote award, or it gets negated, however you want to view it. A previous bet.
When the caller was saying, I was like, ooh, maybe the thing is just losers got to do both of the outstanding bets. But then I was like, I don't think Ruther would even mind 24 hours in IKEA, full a start to close in IKEA. This guy goes to Costco voluntarily. So
yeah, IKEA wouldn't kill me.
Yeah,
we went recently.
Meanwhile, like a fucking women's studies course wouldn't kill me, except that it fucking takes a lot of time.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Like so, the IKEA thing is like and listen, I'm not saying that we're not going to do that. Like I'm not necessarily suggesting that that's out. I think that was a good L for me to take, because there is truly the factor of like, I might lose my fucking mind. Like it could be, the reason it was a bet is because I had my life's only panic attack at a fucking IKEA. I hate it. So I get it.
By the way, this new chair in back of me, IKEA. The desk that I'm doing the show on, IKEA.
Listen, my thing with IKEA is find it online, lock it up, show up, have them put it in the back of your car, and leave. I'm not fucking window shopping. I don't like going to any stores at this point.
But you know what I've decided though? I think we decided, Brittany and I decided as a couple after that, I think we're mostly done with IKEA. Just the putting it together and the like. I don't like, I'm not losing my mind in there like you would, but I'm just like, it's not the best quality, guys. Let's just call what it is.
No, it's not the best quality.
Let's just call what it is. It's not. And also, I'm a little annoyed. So you're right. I do talk about shit, and I do. Because I'm about to tell a shit story. I had to take the worst shit right now. I'm in IKEA. And I got to take just this fucking terrible dump. And I'm like, this is going to be a minute. So I go in there. Who knew that I talk about shitting all the time? And
some of our most vocal critics.
Anyway, I'm feeling good. There's no one in there. This fucking asshole comes in. He gets in the stall right next to me to shit. I was so angry. I almost called him out like, you dude, what are you doing? Just let me finish. Like, come on, man.
Was there only 2 stalls?
No.
Well, that's weird.
Or go in the handicap. Then he should have gone in the handicap.
I go in the handicap all the time. I prefer the handicap.
You got space.
To be totally honest with you. And yeah. I am like, I think about the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I was just going to say, great.
I mean, but like at the same time, it's the easiest thing ever. They come in, I'd be like, sorry, man. It's never happened to me before, but just FYI, man, you spread out. I like having bars too, bro. I know you use them to help get up and down. I use them just, for clenching. Like, let's go. I like having me some bars in there.
Speaking of handicap, I'm on a crusade. The number of handicap spaces across this country is absolutely egregious. And I'm sick of it.
Spaces?
Oh, yeah. It's out of control.
Oh,
everywhere.
This is a shameful take.
No, it's not a shameful take. It's a great take. I was pointing out, and my girlfriend, she's always looking at it now, and she actually agrees with me. Everywhere you go, dude, everywhere has so many handicap spaces. I'm going to start parking in them. You heard me first. It's not even about walking. I'm taking a stand against this. They do not need 30 handicap spaces at the grocery store.
Well, first of all, this is a very Midwest concept. Like here we have 1 or 2 because the parking lot in LA, the parking lots aren't big enough where you have this like row of handicap spots. That's a very like suburban thing where like the row right by the store is whatever. And I'm sure, by the way, there's laws in each and every state about how many spots per spots in the parking lot. Now, that being said, okay, I think that the obvious thing is like, it doesn't matter how big a parking lot. Like I'm sure that's the rule in place. I'm sure here where there's 30 spots at the fucking Trader Joe's are like 2, because let's be honest, at any given moment, there's probably a chance that 2 people, you can't just have one, first come, first serve, right? But let's be honest, it doesn't matter where you are in the world and how big the parking lot is. The chances of like 10 different handicap people showing up to the Cincinnati Target is ludicrous. So I get that. But then at the same time, I'm sure it's a legal thing. And maybe you should petition to lower that number. Maybe it shouldn't have anything to do with the number of spaces. Because let's be honest, like 3 or 4 spots in a big parking lot, like you're going to be sufficient. Unless there's some sort of Black Friday deals on motorized wheelchairs or whatever. I don't think 30 people are showing up.
I'm not talking about 3 or 4 spots. I'm talking about 10 plus spots, and I've never seen more than 2, and it's everywhere. Target, grocery store, restaurants. I'm getting sick of it. I'm putting my foot down. And I think a lot of people aren't handicapped. They're just obese people because I live in the Midwest.
Oh man, Andy, set this to an acoustic guitar and go on Rogan in a couple weeks.
I'm just saying, it's
selling my soul, doing the podcast, obese people taking handicap spots.
It's true though, man. Like, there's a reason people of Walmart exist as a social media account.
You shouldn't be able to park closer to Home Depot just because you can't stop them shoving Oreos in your face.
Who are you impersonating?
You don't know this guy?
Who?
The acoustic guitar guy who wrote like one incredibly good verse about like the 1% in America, and then verse 2 was how fat people spend their welfare checks on cookies. You don't know who I'm talking about?
I have no clue.
Bro, it's the biggest thing ever. He 100 million views on TikTok. He was literally on Rogan.
What?
Yeah. How did you miss this?
I miss a lot now, I think.
It's a singer. He's from, I don't know, Appalachia or whatever. He's also fat, by the way, himself. But he wrote like a brilliant verse and sang it, and it was all about and the chorus is fantastic as well. But then he came back on the second verse and it's just like trashing fat people on welfare. And it was like, oh, this song's really taking a turn.
I'm gonna have to figure it out. I just put
you'll figure out. You can't
singer
even,
about. I put singer about obese people and Weird Al Yankovic.
It's called Rich Men North of Richmond or whatever is the name of the song. But like, honestly, don't even play it on here because this is from 2 months ago. It was the biggest thing. Everybody except for you listening to this podcast has heard this song.
I'm like that far out of it.
Yeah, you're that far. It was a mega fucking. Honestly, I bet you it's got 100 million views on TikTok.
I mean, literally, I was like, what is he even talking about? Okay. We do have a call baseball related. I'd like to get out there.
Okay.
Have you watched the playoffs? I still haven't watched the pitch.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Do we have a baseball call? Is that what you brought it up?
Yeah, it's a call. It's more related to
the bye.
What's that?
Is it call related to the bye?
No, but I have seen a lot of stuff saying it's hurting the good teams.
Yeah. Well, that's because listen, the Astros won their game 1. I don't think there's been a lot of years without a bye in baseball, and Clayton Kershaw has still been a choke artist long before the bye existed. And then, of course, Braves fans lose game 1. Braves fans are going to complain. Like, if they didn't have a bye, they would have complained that they didn't have a bye. If they had a bye, they're complaining. Like, Braves fans are going to complain no matter what. Oh, we got to play during the day. We wanted to play at night. Oh, we want to play at night. We want to play during the day. Braves fans are the whiniest little fucking cunts in the history of sports. So we saw that coming. But I don't think Clayton Kershaw choking in the playoffs has anything to do with the bye.
Well, I saw it more with the Orioles losing their first 2.
Right. But, like, listen, I'll say this before you get in the call because I can't wait to talk baseball.
By the way, the call is nothing about it. The call is more about the Rays' attendance.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about this. But we discussed all of this and more on a recent playoff edition of the Dirty Slides podcast that we put out. It's been out a couple days now. And I talked about how I thought it was going to be the 1 and 2 seed teams moving on to the next round, but that the two outlier situations that I could see happening is that the Phillies have tough pitching and they are in a division with the Braves, so they know them very well. So I could see that being a sneaky series. And I talked about on the podcast, and Laz agreed with me, the other sneaky team, if you look at it, is the 4 teams with experienced managers, that being Dusty, Dave Roberts, Snicker in Atlanta, and then, of course, Bochy in Texas. You can't put enough weight on an Orioles team that is good probably before they were ready to be good with a first-year man. I know he managed a team like 10 years ago. He managed like the Marlins in 2011 or something like that. But Bruce Bochy is pulling all the right strings already, and I think that's as much of a factor as anything. Anyway, let's talk about the Rays attendance, because they should move to London on the. They should put their equipment on a boat with the Jaguars and just move to London.
Wow, this guy, I can't believe this guy's you'll hear it. He's defending the situation because they technically play in St. Peter. So here's the call.
Hey guys, the Florida Dirtball, long time listener, first time caller. I'm not even a Rays fan, but just listening to Andy kind of talk about Tampa Bay's got a problem. I just want to clear the air. It's not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, that's where the Rays should go. The Rays play in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're not familiar, it's really hard to get to. There's like 3 bridges to get to it from, the greater Tampa Bay area. St. Pete itself is like a really hipster kind of area. They love the Rays, but, they don't really go out. It's hard to get to, especially in the middle of the day. So St. Pete, they're just so insecure, and they have a stranglehold on the Rays. For some reason, they just think the Rays are just going to keep their economy going or something. And the city of St. Pete is paying for like half of the stadium. And that's like kind of contributed to the long war of like getting this new Rays stadium. But they belong in Tampa. That's the easiest place to get to. It's where the Lightning play. The Lightning don't have this problem. The Bucks don't have this problem. It's good for St. Pete, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it'll be cool, like, for the grand opening. But other than that, ultimately bad for the Rays. They need to go to Tampa. That's where they belong. All right. Thank you very much. Peace.
Dude, I just want to say this before we even get into it. Florida fans just suck in general, man. Like, I think we both agree. I mean, how many stories do we see, or how many things have we seen? The Heat fans left a game that they're winning. Like that to me is that's like the poster child for Florida fans suck. Did you see how many empty seats were at the Giants game yesterday? There's a lot of empty seats for a good, fun team to watch. No, they shouldn't be in Tampa. They shouldn't be anywhere in Florida. The Marlins shouldn't be there. Like, should Florida have sports teams?
Yeah, no one goes to Marlins games either, and they're in fucking Miami. The
Lightning do well. I know the Lightning do well.
Let me add one other fact to that. In addition to Florida fans being bad, which I don't think anybody can argue with, and sure, maybe the St. Pete thing is a factor, okay? But, when you talk about football, Florida is weirdly into hockey. And I think that that has to do with a lot of different things, but also getting to go inside. It almost feels like a novelty to be watching hockey in Florida. And they expanded there. They expanded to Florida, and it was a big deal. And people support. If Tampa Bay and Florida, I believe, came into the league together. I believe the Panthers and the Lightnings came into the league together. They expanded to Florida because they saw there was a market for hockey there, and it's worked. Football, obviously, you're in SECville, right? Tampa Bay Bucks. It's like, dude, it's 8 games.
Did you see what the Bucks did before the season?
No.
And this actually kind of negates his call. The Bucks minimized the stadium post Brady. They dropped 3,600 seats.
Right. But also, it's 8 games. Okay? You're gonna mostly fill the seats. I have spent a lot of time in Tampa. And I spent a lot of time in Tampa because I had a friend who played minor league baseball for the Yankees. Baseball is a sport with an aging audience. Florida is a state with an aging population. Baseball fans in Florida aren't fucking Rays fans. They're Yankees fans.
Yeah.
They're Mets fans. They're Phillies fans. They're Red Sox fans. They're people who have been watching baseball since they were a kid in a state that they used to live.
Sure. Yeah. They have no affiliation with the Rays. That's a good point too. because there's no hometown connection.
You go to a Yankees spring training game in Tampa. There's more people there than there were at a playoff Rays game.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Go to a Tampa Yankees game historically when Clemens is coming back off the DL or A-Rod is coming back off the DL or whatever. That fucking stadium is packed.
I mean, look, it just hasn't worked, right? At the end of the day, I don't care whether you're in St.
And again, this is not to shit on his call. He could be absolutely right, but that's just one factor.
I mean, I just think, look, man, I understand that they're not logistically in the best location, but when you're using bridges as an excuse, I mean, I just feel like you're like, oh, it takes 3 bridges to get, like, what you're using. Yeah, dude, guess what? For me, if I want to go to a Reds or Bengals game, I got to cross a couple bridges. I'm not using that as an excuse. I don't know. They've never had a fan base, ever. And again, the Bucs still, if the fan base was that strong, they wouldn't have to reduce the seating as Brady left. That's what they had to do. They had to reduce
and listen, the Tampa Bay Rays are a great organization in terms of taking young talent and playing them well and then moving on from them. They're also there's not a historic a star in Tampa Bay in Rays history because they don't let the guys stick around long enough. I don't know who you want these guys to come see. They got to learn new guys every year. Not saying it doesn't work, but also at some point you got to try to win a World Series by keeping some of these guys around and adding to the young players some veteran talent and whatever. Also, your stadium sucks. Even if it's in St. Pete, it sucks. So there's a trillion factors, but if you're not going to do anything about any of them, it's certainly not just Tampa would support, but they're in St. Pete. It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah.
Might support a little bit more, but you had the lowest attendance since the fucking Black Sox for a playoff.
It's so embarrassing. Yeah, a thrown World Series. But to me, right, Joe, that is.
We always talk about the fucking, it's like this happened before the Twin Towers. Dude, the Empire State Building wasn't up yet. Fucking. I
mean, that stat and the whole situation in Tampa, that's just a microcosm of baseball's problems in general.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just a problem. Like, guys, I am the poster child for baseball's problem. I really am. I'm going through all the stuff here at my house, stuff I had at my parents' house, right? Stuff I'm finally going to start hanging some stuff on walls, like in the basement. I got all this cool red stuff I'm finding that I forgot I had. Signed baseballs from players. Some of the pennants I had at the Smut Studio from the 75, 90 World Series. I found this cool Pete Rose signed thing. My dad got it for me. It was like Pete Rose Ballpark in Boca Raton, Florida. God knows how long that place lasted. Probably from the early 90s. But like, it's shaped like a giant ticket. All these baseball memories. And look at me now. The point is, and it wasn't that like the Reds haven't been good. The Reds were a fun team to watch this year. You know why you lost me? I can't even watch Reds games, guys.
Right. That's a whole other thing.
I can't even watch them. So how am I supposed to get geeked? We all know the whole thing that happened with the owner and all that. I'm just saying.
And this is, again, to kind of defend baseball has its own overall issues, which certainly play into the Rays situation. But at the same time, it's just one. All of these things are one of many. Okay, St. Pete, baseball having a marketing problem. Your stadium fucking sucks. You have the fan bases of a lot of different fucking baseball teams down there. You don't keep stars around. You don't market stars because you don't have them to keep around. There's a million fucking factors. But
that's the point, is all these factors make again, I'm the poster child, the guy who has all these great memories growing up. And obviously I'll still have those, and things can change. But the point is, we all know how I'm such an NFL guy. And that's all I'm saying is baseball. What happened? What happened to you? And also the way the league set up. I read a great piece today on it was talking about the Patriots, but in general, it was talking about the NFL. Just how it's like, you know, the NFL is great. You can go from the fucking Bengals at 2-14 to being a Super Bowl contender. The way they've built that league and the way they revenue share, and kind of the point of the article, you know what it was saying, which is interesting because obviously we know how the Patriots did. The point was they don't want a team to dominate forever. It's better for the league, it's better for the fans, it's better for money if it's kind of cyclical, right? It's like the Steelers have won 6 Super Bowls. You haven't won one since 2009. So, but they hold on to that, right? There's a guy down the street. He's got a flag up, which, by the way, I'm on your side now with these NFL fans. Just annoy the shit out of me. As far as
well, I'm going to let you finish because then this will be a good segue into another whole thing I want to talk about.
Well, what I was going to say is, like, I'm walking Roscoe this morning, and I know he's proud because they beat the Ravens, but he's got a flag outside. 6-time NFL champs. And I was just hoping somebody walked in the yard. I was going to say, did you have won one since 2009? You're living in the past. But that guy thinks they have a chance this year.
Well, here's the other thing. I think with baseball as an issue of baseball. So I don't watch hockey because I never played hockey. I don't know the intricacies of the game. I just learned what forechecking and back checking were this fucking year, you know? I don't understand it. And I love watching hockey in person, but like, I'm never going to pretend as if I know which hockey teams are going to win and which hockey teams aren't. I cannot be an analyst of hockey games because I don't know anything. It's why we have the hockey calls. I think I did the same thing with soccer. I just don't know it. You know what I mean? It's why we kind of stopped talking college football because I don't watch it enough to keep up with who's good and who's bad. When you look at the NBA, everybody's gone out in the yard and shot hoops. And then because the NBA is so star driven, you can kind of have an elementary understanding of who's good and bad without actually knowing anything about the schemes of an NBA team.
Yeah.
We all know that, you know, the Giannis and Dame together is going to make them better. Am I frozen on you again?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as you're there. So, and I mean, we have the LeBron thing and the Jordan thing, and it's just such a star-driven league that I think you get a lot of fans who understand basketball because they just need to understand great players. And this is where we get into the NFL. The NFL has so many fans who've never stepped foot on a football field and don't understand the intricacies of the game, and yet really feel like they understand and know football because they fucking play fantasy. And it's why I think a lot of the opinions of people end up getting exposed, and why that delusion factor is there, because fans aren't that knowledgeable.
Sure.
But a couple wins and they're like, we're really good. Unbelievable. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. How about you do this?
My fucking computer is just literally. Oh, I'm back. Holy
there you
shit.
Are.
Dude, my computer just went white. And then I returned to the screen.
It's a newer computer, too.
It's unbelievable.
No, those, by the way, those are all great points, and it's true.
Oh, and by the way, my point about that is baseball, just like, I think we're in an era where people just like, kids don't play baseball for as long as they used to. Kids aren't just like going out for their high school team. I think there's like a lack of understanding about the intricacies of baseball and a marketing problem and whatever.
You know, I got a great personal one to just share their problem. This actually says it all. It just hit me. You know, when I was growing up, you had your local, like, not whole baseball team, and then you could play for your school, right? The school team doesn't exist anymore, at least in Cincinnati, in the Catholic League, and it probably doesn't in the public schools either. Like, I could play for my grade school. Like, I played for 2 teams. It doesn't even exist. Whereas Obviously, the local Catholic football team exists, the local Catholic basketball team. So right in there shows baseball's problem. You can't even play for your own school because not enough kids are interested. They can't even field teams.
I think the lack of like a real knowledgeable baseball fan anymore about the knowledge of the game and the marketing issues and all that is one of big baseball's problems. Whereas the flip side in football, between Sunday Ticket and fantasy and primetime games
and Survivor and
but just Thursday night primetime game, Monday night primetime game, Sunday night primetime game. You even if you don't have Sunday Ticket, you get 5 to 6 NFL games a weekend that you can watch
for sure
at home. Add in fantasy, add in the talking heads on football. And this would be, I think leads to the delusional fan problem. So many fans who really don't know shit about football think they know shit about football.
100%. But like you said, that's why the popularity is so strong.
Right. Because you've given fans, you've convinced them that they do know it.
Oh my God. I mean, especially Reddit is where it's hot. You go in these team Reddits, it's unbelievable. It's again, like people just think they know because they watch and they don't know shit. But you know what? NFL's done it so smartly. I'm to the point, though, with baseball, like 25 years from now, I think there's a chance soccer will overtake it in America. I really do. As far as popularity. It's just waning and waning. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Well, I think if soccer in America keeps making the moves that they're making and baseball in America keeps not making any moves whatsoever, it's possible. I also think, and I've been on the Let Pray No Commish campaign for a long time, but I also think that baseball, I don't think baseball is just like dying because it's dying. I think it's just being mismanaged. And I think there would be, you forget that baseball is the original fantasy sport.
It's funny. You just beat me to it. I was just going to say, the first time I ever did fantasy, I can tell you, was after my freshman year at St. Louis University. It was summer of 2001. I did a fantasy baseball league with some guys in my fraternity way before I did fantasy football.
Like there's so many little moves that we can make. The NBA has a situation where if you sign with the team that you're on and you sign with the team that drafted you, you can make more money. Like having people stick around is important. Having stars you can cling on to is important. Having all these things. There's so many things that baseball mismanages from the marketing standpoint. But I mean, soccer, I've been hearing about soccer taking over since like fucking the World Cup in 1994.
That's 30 a fair
years
point.
ago. So it's hard for me to be like, yeah, soccer. But at the same time, some of these teams are doing the smart thing and being like, we'll pay Messi.
Yeah. All right, give us a call. Weigh in 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. Again, guys, do me a solid. Try to keep it around 60 seconds and don't make calls from a coal mine or I don't know where you guys are doing this. We all know. Upside down in a bat cave while your head's in a fish tank. I just
working in a coal mine when there's handicap spots of coals.
Come see us live December 16th. We'll be in New Orleans for the 1000th episode. Joe's going to be headlining later that night, 2 shows. So if you haven't bought your ticket or if you're thinking about it,
get your podcast tickets now. Comedy House NOLA. Shout out to not a ton of dirt balls came out to Key West. I didn't think you would. It's very end of the world, but 2 dirt balls over the weekend, and both of them with their significant others. Thank you. I met a dirt ball Andy that I've never seen or heard from online. He's like, I'm not big on social media. Do you know what his name was? Anthony. I was like, man. A throwback Penny Hardaway. I was like, I haven't heard the name of Anthony. So shout out to Anthony and his girlfriend for coming. Guys, thank you for coming out and supporting shows. I have shows in LA this week. We're doing a show this Wednesday with my friends, our friends from the show, Minimal Golf, down at their golf club in Redondo. End of the month, Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in Las Vegas. I'll be there October 30th through November 5th. November, I've got Alaska. Pizza Staro's coming to Alaska. I've got shows, I believe, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all around Alaska. And, of course, our shows in December. This is all on my website at joeprano.com, and it's all over my social media. If you go on to my Instagram at Joe Prano and click on the show's calendar highlight.
Cool. All right, guys, that's our show. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll be back on Thursday. Have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.